Well, here we are back again. We've got our good friend Joe back to help us, and he has been invited by Mel.
Thank you,
Mel,
Jake.
but listen, there have been a number of people saying, "Well, hold on a minute. What has he got that icon there? That looks like a person. That looks like Jesus Christ, and it looks like the cross." So go ahead, Joe. Tell us, explain to us why you've got a picture of Christ.
Okay, actually, that's a picture of Muhammad.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Muhammad. Yeah, that's
as in the Muslim Muhammad.
Well, that's the picture of the Gnostic Christian Muhammad, and that's actually a Templar icon, which was made of wood. It's a wooden head of Muhammad, which the Templars used to kiss. Are you familiar? I mean, people will. I hope if they're familiar with the persecution of the Templar Knights when they came back from the Crusades, they were accused of having converted to Islam. Do you know that story? They were very brutally sort of tortured, and all sorts of things, horrible things happened to them because they used to, in their sort of private prayers, they would enter the room when they did their, it's called the liturgy of hours. It's interesting. That's where the 5 times prayers come from the Muslims. But they had to recite the Psalms every 3 hours, starting with the afternoon prayers and then evening prayers and night prayers and midnight office. And when they entered the room, they would cross themselves, prostrate, and kiss this icon of Jesus Christ. So people who were initiated into the Templar order, which is a Catholic order originally, Roman Catholic order, they would kiss this icon of Jesus Christ. And but the common people who were not familiar with the wooden icons were more familiar with I think they had stone statues of saints in Western Europe and stone crosses. So they weren't familiar with veneration of wooden icons, which is a much more Eastern thing. And they said they have a head, an idol, and this is Mahmed, and they heard it wrongly and mispronounced it as Baphomet. And that's where they get the satanic idea, the idea of satanic Baphomet. It comes from the French peasants mispronouncing Mahmed, which was the idol that the Templar Knights used to kiss, which is actually just an icon of Jesus Christ. It's called the Mandilion, by the way. The exact word, this type of icon is called Mandilion.
Actually, can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
This is actually another connection with Edessa. Edessa had an icon associated with Jesus.
Correct. Yes.
So the story is there was an Arab king called, I think, Abgar, who had a communication with Jesus. He asked Jesus to perform a miracle, and Jesus sent him a letter, according to the story, apologizing that he's busy doing other things, but he would, after the resurrection, he would send a disciple, which turned out to be Thaddeus, and he brought this image of himself to the king. This was revered for centuries, right up to the time of Islam. Yeah, and I think it made it
disappeared. That's right.
It disappeared. I think it was last found in France, and it got destroyed or disappeared during the 1798 revolution, French Revolution. So it's quite an interesting story in itself.
Yeah. So we're just kind of dismissing this myth that the Templars were actually secret Muslims. In fact, they were an Eastern Gnostic Christian influenced group of Roman Catholics. And of course, Rome didn't like that, too Gnostic, so they cracked down on them and basically closed down the order, so it only exists in Portugal now. I don't know if you know, but Templars were persecuted after they came back from the Holy Land. They actually are supposed to have met like the Brotherhood of Hormuz, you know, Hormuz. So they met these Gnostic Christians from southern Persia, southwest Persia, and they got some kind of influence from them, and they came back with this icon, the wooden icon of Muhammad, and the local French peasants said these Templars, they've gone native when they were on the Crusades. They're kissing the idol of Baphomet, and that's what that is. It's the idol of Baphomet, or in fact the icon of Muhammad. That's Jesus Christ, as you can see if you look at it. It's a wooden.
Are you all listening to this? For those people who are confused, really confused now, explain what you mean by Baphomet or Muhammad being Jesus Christ.
So this is Muhammad again, referring in this case one of the three instances, or one of the three Mahmadim, if you like, refers to the temple of God, the appearance of it. This is how this word came into Proto-Islam. Now, Proto-Islam is really what Gnostic kind of Christianity is. Very important. It's kind of a mixture of Gnostic Christianity and Judaism. But Gnostic Christianity is very important in Proto-Islam. This is where the words Isa comes from, where the word Yahya comes from for Jesus and John. And this point here, referring to the Muhammadim as the bridegroom, of course, in Christianity, the bridegroom is Jesus Christ. There is actually a reference to that. I've got the reference, I put it down here. Matthew 9:15 and Mark 2:19 to 20 are the two cases where Jesus is referred to as the bridegroom. So that makes the Song of Solomon, Song of Songs, Muhammadim referred to Jesus Christ from the Gnostic Christian point of view. And the Gnostic Christians have got a view of Jesus Christ which is different from others, in that Jesus has three identities in Gnostic Christianity. Those three identities being the luminous spirit, okay, the luminous spirit, the crucified appearance, and the I believe it's messianic role, the role of the Messiah. So
can I jump in?
Yeah.
This sounds very like Manichaeism, and
Manichaeism, yes,
and it came from Mesopotamia as well.
Exactly. This is Gnostic Christianity. Yeah.
Another strike for the Iraqi thesis.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're spot on.
Just explain that, Mel. Explain what you mean by that, because not everybody knows why you're bringing this up. Go ahead and explain what is it. Why is it you're bringing up this Manichaeism and Iraq into the equation?
Well, in the 3rd century, there was a guy who said he was the seal of the prophets. His name was Mani. He started a Gnostic Christian sect, and he was all about the book, the scriptures. He also claimed to be visited by the angel Gabriel, so his influence has been felt in Mesopotamia for centuries after that time. So it sounds to me like that a lot of the mythology around Muhammad was brought in from this Manichaean connection. But the interesting thing is he used that tripartite description of Christ that you just mentioned.
Yeah, he did indeed, exactly. Yeah. And so it's exactly the luminous spirit, that Jesus the Messiah, the messenger, and I think the word is patibilis, Jesus the suffering appearance, the suffering one. So that's quite interesting, because so this would be the Muhammadim. This would be the three from the Christian point of view. Of course, the Lord is Jesus Christ. So so the Muhammadim would be Jesus, but one of the Muhammads in Jesus, in the Gnostic Jesus, would be the suffering appearance, which is why we have reference in the Quran when it says that, so what if he died, was slain? Are you going to turn on your heels? And it's a reference to Muhammad. What if he dies or is slain? Are you going to turn on your heels? At the same time, it says concerning the Rasul, the messenger, Messiah, they didn't crucify him, neither did they kill him, but it was his appearance, that they killed. It appeared to them so. Which is again saying, so they crucified his appearance, the patibilis, if you like, from the Manichaean point of view. They crucified the suffering's appearance, but they didn't crucify the Messiah, because the Messiah is the Ahmed which Jesus gave to his disciples the night beforehand in the form of the bread and wine. He says, this is my body here. I'm giving it up for you. So that wasn't even on the cross. What was on the cross was the luminous spirit and the appearance. But the Messiah had already been given to the church, if you like, beforehand. So the Messiah continues the work from the Gnostic point of view. This is obviously not Christianity as we know it, but from the Gnostic point of view, the body of Christ, the church, continues the work of the Messiah until they're reunited again at the end of time.
So, Joe, what you're doing, and it's fascinating, because I see what both you and Mel have found. Here you have, even in chapter 4, verse 157, which you're quoting right now on this reference, this is another suggestion. This is another side post, you might say, of this influence, this Gnostic influence on the Quran as well. And that's why this Manichaean background, this Gnostic background, which, fascinating, as Mel's pointing out, these Manichaeans are way up north. They're way up in places like Kufa and in Baghdad, in that area, which is hundreds of miles away, far too far away. But that's probably where the Quran was then introduced. We're saying this, Joe, because we're also finding out that the Quran probably was put together up there as well.
Well, definitely the Quranic materials. As I mentioned in my previous video with Mel, that I believe the original Quran was written in what we call a Manichaean Pahlavi script. I believe it was actually written in Pahlavi script. And when it talks about those hadiths which talk about Uthman revising the Quran, I think because they knew that there were versions available in this Pahlavi script, and what happened was that they rewrote it in Arabic. The Nabateans who got hold of this rewrote it again in their local Arabic script. That was the Quraishi dialect. But it was actually originally written in this Manichaean script, and possibly the Manichaean language as well. And that's possibly why there are also references to Salman Fars being the first person to translate the Quran, because they couldn't escape the fact that there was already a Persian Quran. So that they were trying to explain away the fact that there was already a Persian Quran and say, oh yes, that was translated by Salman Fars. He translated it.
And this would explain why Isa is in the text rather than Yeshua or something else.
Yeah, because it's the Gnostic Jesus. It's Isa of Manichaeism, of Mandaism, of this Gnostic Christians. We're using Isa and Yahya and Muhammad. Mahmedim would probably have been in the original Quranic materials, but that's been edited out and lost. But it probably, because these references, it says, it says who they find in their literature. This verse is not actually about that Muhammad. This verse is about the light of the nations, the nation of prophets, the prophet to the nations. But there are other references. For example, I think, which one was it now? Mel, you're quite good with these. Which reference is it where there are 4 references to Muhammad in the Quran? Is it chapter 40 something?
The 4 references are actually, you want the 4 references of Muhammad. One is chapter 3, chapter 3, verse 144, chapter 33, verse 40, chapter 47, verse 2, and chapter 48, verse 29.
You have a better memory than me.
Yeah, so it's the 40. Let me just check and make sure.
47 verse 2.
Let me try that one. 47. I'll check and see 47 verse 2. 47 verse 2. I'll just check and see if that's the one I'm talking about. No. What was the other one? 48?
48 verse 29.
48 verse 29. Let's try that one. 48, 29. It's probably that one. Yeah, that's the one. So it's verse 48, 29, where it says they found their likeness in the Torah and the Injil. It's probably making reference to this Muhammadim being Jesus Christ, but it was edited out of the final Quran. So the reference of it being there is still there, but they've actually edited out this triple nature. Although, when you try to redact something and you edit it out, you can never be perfect in doing so, especially if you don't understand the concept. And so they left a reference to Jesus Christ as 3 still in the Quran when it says, oh, people of the book, don't go to extremes. The Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, is the Rasulullah, the Kalimatullah, wa Ruh Munhu. So he's the messenger of God, the word of God, and the spirit from him. And so this is the 3 again. This Manichaean
3 right there.
Yeah, right there. So they may have edited out the word Muhammadim from the Quran, and it's no longer there. So we've got this odd reference in chapter 48, verse 29, where it doesn't mention Muhammadim, but they still left in that 3 part there, and it's enough to understand. They're talking about Lord, the Song of Solomon, and although it's been edited out, Muslims do know that they've got to go to Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 16, to find the reference to Muhammad, but they've lost the point that that's not the prophet of Arabia or Arabian prophet. That's Jesus Christ from the Gnostic point, the Gnostic Christians' point of view.
Now, Joe, what I want to do
here... Sorry. I was going to say, when the Quran says, do not say 3, desist.
Yeah.
Is that connected to that?
Because chapter 4, 171.
Because these 3 are one. The 301 don't say one. When do we say that the Trinity is three gods? For example, if you're Christians, do you say that the Trinity is three gods, or is he one God?
One God.
So, but if you were to say he's three gods, then that would be tritheism, which was actually outlawed in the what is it? The Sixth Ecumenical Council, which is actually really significant for this, because it was in the year 680, after which Abdul Malik says, "Forget it, I'm going to create a new religion." So they take ideas from that. I think the Gnostics were kind of holding out until this Ecumenical Council to see if they would be included. And at the Ecumenical Council, they didn't include the Gnostics, and they said, "Right, forget it." They're kind of miffed about the thing, and so they create their own new religion. And he creates a new Arab religion to try and unite the Arabs. Maybe there was an element of not wanting to capitulate to the Sixth Ecumenical Council. So they didn't. Anyway, the point is, after that council, it seems like something happens, and Abdul Malik goes ahead and makes a new religion.
Okay. Now, Joe, I'm going to step in here because I see we need to make this a standalone. This is going to probably be a standalone. Could you now just kind of wrap up and give us a quick overview of what you just said? Give us a synopsis of what you said, and give us a significance of why this is important. And then what we'll do is we'll close out this episode, and we'll come back and do the other ones in future episodes. So go ahead. Over to you, Joe.
Okay. So I was saying that this word Muhammad in the Quran, having a reference, the way it's used, it's like everybody knows what it's being referred to. So from the Gnostic Christian point of view, it has to be referring to Jesus Christ, or one of his aspects, one of his three aspects. From the Gnostic Christian point of view, he has three identities. And those three identities are together mentioned in Song of Solomon 5:16 as the Lord, which is the Christian God. Muhammadim being these three aspects of Jesus Christ, the bridegroom of Israel.
But this is also looking back and saying that if Muslims want to try to find Muhammad in the Quran, they're going to actually find Jesus. They're not going to find Muhammad. They're going to find God.
Point. And that minimum three that this Muhammadim refers to reiterate the point, is that Rasul, word, and spirit. The meaning, the from a Manichaean point of view, the Rasul being the Messiah Jesus, the word being the suffering crucified Jesus, and the spirit being the luminous spirit, the guide. So that's the Muhammadim. But when the Quran talks about Muhammad singular, it's talking mostly about this crucified word. That's the one which was crucified, the one which was killed. And it seems like the reference to a plural Muhammad has been taken out of it must have been there in the original Gnostic Christian materials, which became the Quran, but it didn't make it to the final cut. And so we've got a kind of a redacted, chopped up version which hasn't been making full reference. But if you take it at its word, if you take the Quran at its word when it says it's come to confirm the previous scriptures, and then just go and look through the previous scriptures to try and find the references, not with the tafsir of Islam in your head, but trying to look at it from a 7th century point of view of people who are familiar with the word Muhammad. What would it mean? Then it means Muhammad, it means the Lord, and it cannot mean a human being. From a Gnostic Christian point of view, cannot mean think of the word, he was Rasulullah, Kalimatullah, wa Ruh Manhu. He is not described as being a human. They say he was the son of Mary because they're emphasizing that this divinity was born of Mary, unlike certain adoptionist Christians who believed that it was a man who was born of Mary, and then at the baptism he received the Holy Spirit and was adopted by God. They're saying, no, he was not adopted. He doesn't have to adopt a son. There's no need for him to adopt a son. Everything belongs to him. But he was born of Mary. And these words have been completely taken out of context, out of the Gnostic Christian context. Anyway, so that's the point of this point. But there's, as we said, a few more things to talk about. So,
okay, we're going to do that. Go ahead and unshare your screen there, and then we'll just get the three of us back together again. And we'll end off this section, and then we'll go ahead and start the next one. Because this is important. Also realize what he said at the end there when he is talking about the influence of the Gnostic writers on those who are putting the Quran together. And these Gnostic writers, as Mel said, are from the places of Kufa and up north. This is not happening down in the Hijaz. This is not happening in Central Arabia. This is happening much further north, probably about 1,000 miles further north. Well, this has been fun. This has been great. We're going to have more of these. Thanks, Joe, for coming on board. Thanks, Mel, for being there. This is Mel, Joe, and Jay. Over and out.